The following video was recorded on location in my state-of-the-art office in the corner of my first floor apartment. If you like what you're about to hear, please like, comment, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell in the upper right corner.
Hello?
Hi, how's it going?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for taking the time to do this interview.
No problem.
Well, awesome. Well, of course, we're here to talk about the brand new album, Gravebloom, which is going to be coming out June 30th through Rise Records. I've just been able to check out the album over the last few days when I received the stream of the album, and I gotta say, I love what you guys are doing this time around.
Oh, that's awesome.
So, what went into the writing process for Gravebloom?
So the writing process, I feel like every record we do something different, not on purpose, just because we're forced to. This time around, we were on tour, and we realized that we were going to the studio 3 days after we got from tour, so we were just, like, freaking the fuck out. We had a couple songs done already, but, you know, we're running a full length, so we needed, like, 8 more. So what we would do is, on any day off or any free downtime, we would just write. So we would, like, book hotel rooms, lock ourselves in these hotel rooms, and just, like, rip riffs on computers and, like, do it the modern way, I guess, which we were kind of forced into doing. But it was, like, very stressful experience. Like, we were, like I said, we've never done it this way before. We were relegated to hotel rooms and in the van, like, while we were doing drives and stuff like that. We would write and bounce ideas off each other and stuff like that. So it was really, like, it was very fast-paced. It was very stressful. And you can't really, I don't think it comes through on the record, but it definitely, there is a feeling of, like, urgency, I think, maybe sometimes on the record here or there, because we were just so, like, forced into putting it together as hastily, not hastily, but as quickly as we could, you know. And we wanted to make the best record we could, and it's we think that we did a very good job with the timeline that we gave ourselves. You know, we were just, like, procrastinating, and all of a sudden it was time to write a record. We're like, shit, we got to put a record together. So that's how it came.
So with that, do you feel like the stress helped the songwriting at all?
Oh, for sure. I think a lot of people work very well in a high stress environment, and sometimes we're that type of person. Sometimes we're not, you know, like, but it was interesting to do it this way for me, you know, like, it was like a lot of other records we like, we take, like, you know, 6 months off, we write a record in my house or in the studio, we just, like, kind of, you know, take our time, we're leisurely, and it comes out, you know. But, like, this time around, we wanted to challenge ourselves without even knowing it. You know, we wanted to be like, this is how we have to do, fuck, go. And it just kind of came together that way. And it worked. You know, we've never really had this kind of situation before where we were, like, forgot we had to write a record because of our current timeline. And this is it just came about this way. And I think it worked for us. Like, we've never experienced it, and so the first time we were able to do it like this, I think it was just like a kind of a cool, rude awakening.
Yeah, that's actually a great way to look at it as well. I mean, when life forces upon you a different way of being able to create, I mean, rather than taking your leisurely time, I mean, when you're in that force-fed stress situation of having to put out an album, you know, just like a couple days after getting off tour, you head into the studio, it makes your brain think differently, and songwriting can come out completely different than you would imagine.
Yeah, it's almost a kind of survivalism in a way, you know, where you're just like, shit, we need to do this in order to live. You know, we need to put out a record because we've never been a deadline band. Like, we never get forced deadlines. We never, like, every record label we've ever been on is just like, yeah, do it whenever you want. And Rise this time was like, all right, you're in the studio, we booked it, go. And we're just like, fuck, we have to do this. So it's kind of like, we were, like, clinging to our basic instinct to survive as a band and put something together that would help us move forward. And I think that's what we came up with.
Yeah, and I can definitely hear that from the fan perspective as well. I mean, I love the direction that you guys are going in. I mean, I love the atmosphere that's really showing through. I mean, there's a great use of dynamics that's going through without losing that core sound that you guys have always had.
Yeah, we're really trying. I've been telling people this is the most grown-up record we've done, or the most adult record we've put together, because we're all adults. Like, most of us are over 30, so we're not, like, the angsty teens that we used to be, and we're just, like, kind of, like, trying to be grown-ups, I guess, while still trying to maintain our personality as a band. You know, like, you can still hear that we are the Acacia Strain, but maybe in listening to it, you're like, wow, these guys are like kind of growing up a little bit.
Yeah, I kind of noticed that. I mean, immediately off the bat with Worthless, I mean, the first 3/4 of the song, I mean, I was really digging it, but that latter part of the song, it's like, wow, these guys are going in a different direction than I know them for, and like it really opened me up to the album and the diversity that was to come for the rest of the album.
Yeah, we realize you can't just write the same record over and over again, and everyone's like, oh man, we want another Coma Witch, or we want another Wormwood, or we want another Deadwalk, and we're like, no, like we're not going to just reboot the same record, you know, we have to do something different, and this, I think we did enough different where it's like, holy shit, like these guys are actually trying new things while maintaining some sort of semblance of being ourselves, being Acacia Strain. And you can hear like both sides of when you listen to the record, I think.
Yeah, and I'm really glad to hear that approach as well. I mean, fans are so comfortable with wanting to relive the same favorite album over and over again, but as an artist, you got to be able to expand your horizons a bit. I mean, otherwise the structure of the band might fall apart if you're not able to play the music you want to play.
Yeah, not everybody can just put out a Motorhead record. You know, Motorhead does it. Motorhead puts out Motorhead records, or put out Motorhead records, and you know they're Motorhead records, and you love them because they all kind of sound similar. Or Slayer records, you know, like this is a fucking Slayer record, you know. But other bands sometimes just like us, we were just like we're pigeonholed, you know. We're like you guys are a deathcore band, so like, all right, fine. How can we prove that we're not really a deathcore band? We'll do something different, and different enough where it's like, holy shit, it's creative, but still similar enough where people are just like, yeah, I fucking like this. I'm growing up. The band I like is growing up with me, you know. And this is kind of like, honestly, Gravebloom to me is like the spiritual successor to Coma Witch without sounding exactly like it, you know. It's just one movement forward on the chessboard or whatever.
Yeah, and I'm really glad to see that too. I mean, like with the patented sound that you guys, when you first started off, I mean, coming up with all the other bands that were coming up in that very heavy style, I mean, it's great to see that you guys want to be able to expand your horizons. And I mean, definitely with Gravebloom, I mean, there's like so many different directions that are going on, but it's all cohesive at the same time.
Yeah, I think one of the sentences that was said during the writing process was like, all right, what is everybody else doing? Let's do the opposite. Let's not do that. And it kind of worked, because we never want to be, like, I don't mind being grouped in. I like having peers, you know, I like having friends, and I like having bands that sound similar to us, but I always want to break away from them at least a little bit. And I don't want to do what anybody else is doing, and I want to kind of just be like, we wanted to write a record that was the best expression of who we are as people currently, and I think it came through.
Yeah, and I definitely think it was a songwriting process that worked out for the best, because, I mean, the more that I get to listen to this album, I'm hearing all the intricacies that you guys are putting through, and I usually got to say it's your best album to date so far.
Thank you very much.
Oh, absolutely.
It came with a lot of misery and a lot of stress, so I hope it's good.
So, you guys have released a couple singles so far. What has been the fan reaction to the song so far?
They're into them. Like, we released Bitter Pill, and it's always hard, you know. You're always like, you're going to release a song, and people are like, well, it doesn't fucking sound like anything, like, it's too different. And then there's other people like, it sounds exactly the same. So it's like, how are you listening to the same song and coming through with like exact opposite reactions to it? But this one was just like, I was getting messages from people like, this is good, you know, like, this is awesome. And then like Big Sleep came out, and they're like, holy fuck, you just like, that song just like threw my brain for a loop, because there's so many different elements to it. And that's like one of my favorite songs on the record because of Matt from Kubakan. You know, he's just like, he added this element to it that made me feel so good about what I did and the choices I made. And he came in the studio, and I listened to him do it, and I was like, fuck, man, you should just be on the entire record, because you're way better than I am.
So with that, again, with having the time constraints and the stress of writing the album in a short amount of time, how did that affect you when it came to what you do on the album? I mean, like, how were you able to come up with the lyrics and the vocal style and everything that you got going on?
I mean, I write lyrics constantly, so whenever I have like a spare moment where my brain is just thinking about nothing, it's usually when lyrics pop into my mind, and I just kind of jot them down. And I'm not like a traditional lyric writer where I sit down, I'm like, I'm going to write a song. I'm going to write a full page song. I write line by line, different topics at different times. Nothing ever comes together until it's time for me to put words to songs. So I kind of just like put shit together topically, and, you know, try and form some sort of cohesive idea. And nothing is ever really like solid and nothing is 100% until it's recorded, you know, because sometimes one of my band members will be like, well, what if you said this instead? Or what if this was the word you chose to use instead of this word? And then Will Putney will be like, well, this rhyme is kind of dumb. Maybe you want to change it to this. And I take constructive criticism pretty well because I don't think that I'm doing anything special. You know, I think as a band, my band and who we choose to help to produce the record, they're there for me and I'm there for them. So if I think a riff should do something, I go, hey, maybe we should go doodly dip pop pop, and they say, yeah, it's probably a good idea. Same with lyrics. So like maybe you should say you fart instead of shit, you know, or something, you know, like something like that. So it's like definitely helpful. So nothing is 100% until it's on the record, because I'm not second guessing myself, but I'm always hypercritical of my own lyrics. So like I had this, the record was done. I was putting lyrics to songs like for pre-production, but shit always changes, so I keep it loose. And I was at home because we got home from tour, and I was like sick of seeing my band members. I was very tired of seeing Devin's face, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go home. You guys go to the studio. I'll meet up with you. Send me the songs as they get completed, and I'll put lyrics to them. I'll do this. I'll be like complete solitude, and I'll just sit in the dark with a candle, and I'll just like write super gothy, depressing lyrics, and you guys will love it. And it worked out because when they were done, when they were ready for me, I went to the studio. I was there for a week. I recorded like 2 songs a day. Everything got done. I went back and I did like all the backup vocals and stuff like that, and in a week. And it was another like that's like the theme of the record is you do everything like we're just like needs to be done right now. You gotta come here right now. So I did it, and it was cool because I was going through a lot of shit like as I was writing all the lyrics, like really hard time in my life where there was a lot of bad and a little bit of good. So I focused it into my lyric writing, and I think it comes through on the record. Like I was like listening to it after it got completed. I waited like a month to actually listen to the full thing, and I was like sitting. We were on tour. I was on the bandwagon, and I was like, "Fuck, this is affecting me on a personal level, and this is just something that I do. You know, this is my kind of job to put lyrics to music. You know, but this is the first time I've actually listened to it and been like, oh God, like I'm feeling terrible right now because I'm reliving all of these memories and all of this stuff that I actually put on paper. Because usually I'll write about I'll write about topics. You know, I'll write about this. I don't like how this is going, or you are dumb, and this is about me. You know, these are all my personal experiences, and this record's about me as a person in the past 5 or 6 years of my life. So, yeah, it affected me, and it affects anyone I let listen to it. They're just like, Jesus Christ, like, what the fuck happened to you, you know? And it projects onto them, and it makes them think about things in their life that are somewhat similar, you know? Just the music alone is just, like, sad, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I was definitely gonna mention that as well. I was wondering if it was autobiographical in the lyrics, because, like, it's very relatable stuff when people go through bad times in their life. But I also see that as a very positive thing as well, because when you release those emotions through musical art like that, I mean, it makes like people who listen to it, people who are going through similar experiences, feel very relatable, and you're able to purge those bad feelings because
exactly
all these bad things going on. But you know, it's just like it's good to see that you were able to open up that much and release such a very dark lyrical content on this album and be able to push through it.
Yeah, music is therapeutic, not just for the listener, but also for the person that's creating the music. You know, it's the only real outlet that a lot of us have. And like, I would say that I would be way worse off if I didn't have what I have as far as a creative outlet. You know, I think I recommend it to everybody. If it's not music, do something that makes you feel good after you do it and makes you feel like you purged whatever you have going on in your life. Even if it's for a couple minutes, you know, those couple minutes of freedom are the best couple of minutes you'll experience in your life, because you just released all of this stuff that's weighing down on your shoulders, and for a couple minutes at a time, that is gone, you know? So I'm lucky enough to have music and have this band, and other people have come up to me and said, if it weren't for this album, then I wouldn't have been able to make it through this part of my life. And I think that's, you know, that's like subjective. Like people, they might have found another record, but this is the record that they found that helped them through this moment in time. And I think that's awesome that I can contribute to that without even knowing it. You know, because I'm doing this for me. I'm in a band because I want to be in a band and I want to write music and I want to be creative. The fact that other people are into it and the fact that people like it and the fact that it affects them on a day-to-day basis is a bonus for me. You know, it's like, I never thought in a million years that it's something that I would do as a hobby just for fun to help get shit off my chest would turn into something that is therapeutic for other people.
Yeah, and that is such a great feeling. I mean, it's hard enough already being in a band in, say, 2017 with everything that's going on in the world, but when you are able to make a positive impact on people through the music that you make, I mean, when you're a musician, there's no better feeling.
Yeah, and it's ironic because we are a very negative band, and people who find the positivity in it they understand it. You know, they understand that, you know, happiness exists and it's good to be positive, but you can't ignore the bad side of stuff just because you don't like it. You know, you're gonna be sad, you're gonna be angry, you're gonna be miserable at points in your life, and it's important for you to find something that helps you get through that misery and get through that sadness. And feeling sad is better than feeling nothing, because at least you're feeling. And with sadness, you can overcome it and become a better person, you know? That's why, yeah, we're a negative band, but we're negative for a positive reason.
Yeah, and that is an absolutely great way to look at it, too. I mean, when you have to have negative times in your life to really be able to appreciate the positive stuff. And when
Exactly.
and when you do have that more negative focus in a band, whether it's in the songwriting or whatever the case is, again, like I mentioned before, it can be relatable to people because going through similar situations or if they're just feeling sad. And when they know that there's other people going through that, they're able to get through it a little easier.
It also helps people realize that you can't ignore your problems just because you don't like them. You know, you have to confront things head on. If you're sad or angry or depressed, admit it to yourself and it will help you get through it. You can't just like put it in the back of your mind because you don't like how it feels, because it's just going to make you worse, you know? And if you have something like a band or art or a baseball team or whatever that you do that can take that shit off your shoulders for a little while, like, do it, confront your problems, and you'll walk through the tunnel and come out the other side a better person.
And making that go back into the album, what was it like when you finally heard the final product for the first time?
Oh, it affected me. You know, like, I couldn't believe, because I'm very hypercritical of myself when I'm making something, because I'm always like, well, it's not gonna be as good as the last one. I always think that because I'm just like worried that it's not going to be as good, or it's going to just be bad, and I'm not going to like the finished product. So that's why I waited like a month to listen to it, and I listened to it, and I was like, we did this, we made this, and this is exactly how I wanted this record to sound. This is exactly how I wanted to express all of the things that are going on in my life. You know, a lot of the stuff on the past records that's autobiographical is really just like, I kind of just threw it in last minute, and this was cultivated, this was crafted, this was how it was supposed to sound. And I think the finished product is the best possible outcome and the best possible record we could have done, especially given the circumstances and wanting to sound the way that we wanted it to sound. I think everybody did a great job. Our new bass player, Griffin, wrote half the riffs on the record. He's an absolute monster. Will Putney is a genius when it comes to just being an idea man, and everybody pulled their own weight, and I feel like this record is just 100% from everyone in equal parts. And we really worked together, and like being on the road together and just like being just miserable, sometimes playing, because we're on tour with Dying Fetus, you know, like we're Acacia Strain. We're not a fucking brutal death metal band. We're just Acacia Strain. And Dying Fetus fans sometimes are fucking rude. And it kind of starts to wear on you night after night after night when people are calling you fucking assholes, throwing shit at you, and just saying Dying Fetus in your face. Like, that shit will wear on you. And that is another reason that we were just like, we were stressed out, we were miserable, and we were taking it out on each other, but at the same time, taking it out on each other creatively. And I think it was a good process, but I don't think I'd ever want to do it again. I'm going to try something different next time, again.
Yeah, and that totally makes sense. I mean, when you're having that pressure when you're touring with a band that some people from outside the community would think that you're similar bands, but when you really have those diehard fans that really dissect, really go into different ways and all these different subgenres into metal. If it's not this particular style, they're not going to be into it. And they really show it live or on the internet or whatever. That can break a lot of musicians and bands and people if they aren't strong enough. But for you guys going through that opportunity, I mean, you were able to create, honestly, your best album to date, having to go through all those struggles.
Yeah, I mean, we've had hardships. We've toured with some bands that I guess technically shouldn't have. On paper, it just sounds like a mess, and even live, it's sometimes a mess. But it makes us stronger. It makes us better people, and it shows that we're willing to do anything to play live. And
with that,
like we toured with Dying Fetus, and at the same time, a couple years later, we toured with Icy Stars. Like it's like a fucking what? Like what band would do that? What band would put themselves through that? And we're just like, we just face the garbage head on and just do it.
Yeah, and I think that's important, too. I mean, you want to be able to take the opportunities that you feel are right for the band, or bands that you want to be able to tour with, and you just want to go out there and be able to promote your band in the best possible light you can.
Yeah, if we can catch one new fan, that's worth it,
Oh, absolutely. So, with this whole process, and of course the album is coming out June 30th, how do you feel this is going to affect the band as far as, like, future songwriting, having gone through everything you have with Gravebloom?
I really don't know. It's like, we're not even trying to think about it right now, honestly. Like, we wrote this record a year ago. We recorded it a year ago. So we're just like, we've been sitting on it, and like, yeah, we want to write and stuff like that, but we also just want to play these songs live. We want people to hear them. So it's like, we're trained 100% on the focus of this album. There's no, like, my bass player every once in a while was like, I got a riff, and I'm just like, I don't fucking care. Like, I don't want to hear it. I want to focus on the record. Like, I want to do this. So once the record's out, maybe we'll start talking. But yeah, I don't know. Like, I write lyrics constantly, so it's not anything that I'm not used to. But at the same time, I just don't want to think about it right now because I'm so hyper focused on the release of this album and just getting it out there.
Yeah, as you should be. Again, like I mentioned, I mean, this is easily my favorite album from you guys to date, and it deserves all the press and recognition that it's been getting and will be getting once more people get to check it out and when the album drops on June 30th. And it's great to see that coming up this summer that you guys have a lot of amazing touring going on.
Yeah, it's going to be good. Like, Warped Tour is going to be a wild time, and I think it's going to be the perfect showcase for the record because it's just going to be raw, like comparatively. Warped Tour is a weird tour. There's a lot of different genres, and you come from watching Streetlight Manifesto, and then you just get blasted in the face with Acacia Strain. Like, it's definitely it might turn some heads, and the cool thing about Warped Tour is there's people who just go to Warped Tour because it's Warped Tour, because they're like, I want to find new music, so here we are, like, we're gonna fuck you up. That's our mission statement. We're here to fuck you up.
And with that, have you had the opportunity to rehearse a new song as a part of the set yet?
We played a couple shows during around Christmas time where we played Bitter Pill live before we released it, and it was awesome. Like, kids were just like very, I say kids, I mean everyone. Kids were very receptive. They were super into it. Like, we haven't been able to practice anything since then because we live all over the country. Like, my bass player lives in Des Moines, and my guitar player lives in Columbus, and my other guitar player lives in New Jersey. So it's like, we're going to get together this week. Like, we're getting together on the 8th. We're going to drive out to Des Moines and just have a rehearsal there so we can, all be on the same page. But yeah, we haven't played any of these new songs live except for Bitter Pill, and we're very excited to get together and see like how it all turns out.
Yeah, and that's the great thing about being able to debut new music when you have a new album that's going to be dropping, because you finally get to switch up the set list a bit. You get to show people what you have to offer right now, and of course playing the songs that people want to hear as well, but being able to switch things up as far as the sets and really showing off what you guys can do with new material, I mean, that's always refreshing.
Yeah, I'm very excited. I haven't played a show in like 6 months, so yeah. I got the blue balls.
Yeah, and what's a better way to be able to get back into it than on one of the biggest tours of the year with Warped Tour?
Exactly. And the big thing for me is catching new fans. Like the people who are just walking by the stage who are like, what the hell is this? Oh, okay, well, I just found a new band. That's the Warped Tour crowds are very open-minded, so they're just there for music, and if someone catches they're into it.
Yeah, and that's really what I like about this here, too, because it seems like they even expanded their horizons even more. Like, I'm seeing power metal for the first time on here, I'm seeing Gwar on there.
Ailstorm, right?
Yeah, Ailstorm.
Ailstorm and Municipal Waste are both on Warped Tour, and that's blowing my fucking mind, you know? Gwar is on Warped Tour. That's insane. It's like it's like this year's like Mayhem meets Warped Tour, you know? It's like they combine the best of both worlds.
Yeah, and that's why I would like to think that people are open to new music once they just get that experience, and that's why Warped Tour is such a great thing, because you get to open up your mind and ears to so many different styles and so many different kinds of bands in one day, and you can become a fan of so much new music.
For sure.
Well, awesome. Well, again, thank you so very much for taking the time to talk to me about everything that's going on with Gravebloom. And one more time, I just gotta say it again. You know, it's just, I absolutely love this album. I love what you guys are doing with it, both musically, lyrically, everything that's going on. And it's great to see that the high stress factor of what went into writing the album really pushed the band to be the best that it can. And I know when the album drops on the 30th through Rise Records that you guys are definitely gonna make your highest appearance from the fan base and everything that's going on with Warped Tour, and you guys have just absolutely nailed it.
That's awesome. Thank you very much. I appreciate the kind words. It means a lot to me because the record's been done for a year, so I've been just sitting on it and like critiquing it myself. So I'm like, is it really even that good? And then you tell me that you enjoy it and it's your favorite so far. That means a lot to me. That means at least someone understands what we're trying to do, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, my favorite albums are always the ones where the bands really mean that they put their heart and soul into the record, and it's the most authentic representation of a band, rather than feeling like they have to pander to their fan base or pander to their label. I mean, you guys put it on record this time around that this is a very real, authentic album, and it really shines through.
I appreciate that.